Broadcasting the information the mainstream media won't touch. This is The Richie Allen Show in association with DavidIke.com.
Cynthia Mckinney, two-time Georgia Congresswoman, I think it's fair to say one of the bravest people I've ever known in my career. She really is. Check out a film called American Blackout and see what they did to her because of the things she said about who's really in charge. She's in Bangladesh these days. There were one or two audio issues today because of where she is and because of her internet speeds. So I had to cut some of it and process the rest of it, but it's good and you can understand it. Internet quality not great, as I said. Anyway, I first mentioned and I first asked Cynthia today, was the disgraceful nature of this campaign, the conduct of the candidates, who they really are, the fact that they are obviously puppets for the system, was it going to ultimately show people that the whole game is rigged? Here's what Cynthia Mckinney had to say.
The world has been, subjected to the spectacle of 2016 presidential election in the U.S. And it's very saddening to be a U.S. citizen, someone who's charged with the responsibility of voting, but at the same time, someone who's aware of actually what that process entails. Because quite frankly and sadly, most people in the U.S. don't even know the political system that they have. And then most of them don't even take the time to get to know the names on the ballot that they're actually voting for. They don't do enough research because, of course, now we know that it's very difficult to, if even possible, to get accurate information from what is called mainstream media. Now that WikiLeaks has given us the names of the 65 journalists who colluded with the Clinton campaign at every step of the way. And in addition to that, we know that the election results of the Democratic primary were rigged against Bernie Sanders. We know that the Clinton campaign held some kind of leverage over Bernie, and emails were exchanged where they talked about using that leverage if Bernie got out of line. But we don't know what that leverage is, but we can only think, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Then we learned that not only was the Democratic primary rigged, but that the entire election has been rigged. But now who's been saying that? Donald Trump is the one who's been saying it. And his voice booms. And so therefore, people know about the system being rigged, crooked Hillary. But the other candidates, Gary Johnson and Jill Stein with the Green Party, Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party, have been saying these things. But you see, the bought and paid for media and that's not just what we would call mainstream. That's from left, right, and center. That media it doesn't belong to the people. And that's what we've learned probably more than anything else, is that the media, maybe they never belonged to the people of the U.S. They have certainly stopped giving the people information, and now they have become propaganda arms. Now we know that because of the WikiLeaks whistleblowers, and thank goodness that there is something called WikiLeaks, and thank goodness that the whistleblowers have filled the WikiLeaks with pages and pages and pages of the emails of these folk who claim to be one thing in public but are quite different in private.
One of the things that I've been talking about this week on the program, John Rappaport and Jim Mars were my guests yesterday. And the last time we spoke, you did a pretty terrific job of talking about both candidates, Trump and Clinton, and kind of examining and analysing the things Trump was saying and the meanings behind them. I've got to ask you this, Cynthia, and again, I'm not blowing smoke up your behind. You had the courage, when you had the platform, to say who was really behind it and what was really going on. And I put it to Rappaport and Jim Mars yesterday, is that people like Trump and Jill Stein and Gary Johnson, they're not really going far enough and using the time in the spotlight they have in terms of when Trump says it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. I think most Americans have a fair idea that things are rigged. What they don't have, though, is the sort of detail that you had the cojones, excuse my language, to talk about when you were a congresswoman. Why haven't they gone as far as maybe they should have done in saying, here are the Zionists, unmasked the Zionists behind what's really going on? Now, when I put it to Rappaport and Mars yesterday, they threw at me, and it might be true, but I've heard it so many times before, anybody who goes down that road ends up getting murdered. What do you think?
I'm reminded of the floor statement that Gus Savage made when AIPAC targeted him for to get him out of Congress, and he was able to survive the first battle. They took him out on the second election battle, though. But thank goodness he went to the floor and he made a speech called Laying Out the Facts. And it's a part of the congressional record, and people can go there now and still find what Gus Savage said. But he said that it didn't matter if it was the New Jersey Garden Club or if it was the Girl Scouts or whatever it was. Every organization was somehow tied into this Zionist network of political infiltration. And now, as a result of WikiLeaks, we know that it's not just infiltration; it's sometimes bribery and, extortion and all kinds of things going on there. So we've got compromised people in compromised organizations, and that is a part of the problem that it's going to take a little bit more finesse, I guess I could say, to eliminate.
And I suppose it's our job, and when I say our, I mean collectively, we're a small part of a larger group of independent content creators. But I suppose it's our job to find newer ways and to become better at doing what we do, to show people, who's really behind events, who's really controlling things. I mean, a lot of our friends have been very vocal about, because of the crimes of the Clinton family and the foundation and her, that they were going to support Trump because they took an anybody but Clinton stance. And I know we talked about that last time you were on. But again, tragically, Trump went out of his way in the last couple of weeks to make a series of statements and videos assuring Israel and Tel Aviv that he was going to be their man if he became president. Now, when I put that to some of the more ardent Trump supporters, they said, well, he's got to do that, Richie. But again, the question I would put to anybody is, well, do you have to do that? Cynthia Mckinney didn't do that. And what about...
And Cynthia Mckinney got kicked out.
Yeah, but if more people had joined you, though, if more people had supported you and done the honourable thing, what a huge statement that could have been, Cynthia.
That's true. If more people had joined me, if more people had believed me, and that's why I take some, solace in the WikiLeaks revelations, because now people are coming back to me And they are saying, yeah, we should have believed you back then. Well, 15 years is a long time to wait to hear somebody say, well, we should have supported you back then, But at least it's happening, and thank goodness for WikiLeaks.
You're with the Richie Allen Show in association with DavidIke.com. This is a conversation I had with Cynthia Mckinney, the former two-term Georgia Congresswoman, a little bit earlier on today. It's a short conversation. There's another section I want to play you from it. Short because of the nature of the Wi-Fi connection at Cynthia's lodgings at her house. So we're talking there about why people like Trump and Gary Johnson and Jill Stein don't really tell the truth about who's really running things in DC, and about what happened to Cynthia Mckinney for doing that very thing. Now, Cynthia then goes on to tell me that she's had a good look at Trump's finances and who ultimately is backing Trump's campaign. Have a listen to this.
In addition to just, looking at the Trump Foundation, not the foundation, but the business itself, and knowing who's who and who's writing the checks, who's signing the checks. And so then it becomes very clear, okay, there's more to this than meets the eye. Okay, so there's more to this than meets the eye. But at least what I say is at least he's saying some things about no more regime change, getting rid of the Clintonian corruption, appointing a special prosecutor. These things are music to my ears because I'm sick and tired of regime change. I'm saddened. I was saddened today when I posted about Libya and reminded that I spent days calling phone numbers trying to check in with the people that I knew, and phones rang out, and they just rang out, and they just rang out. I know those people were dead because they were the ones who were fighting on the front lines with nothing. They had nothing with which to fight, but they were doing the best they could to defend their country. And oh my gosh, it just brings tears to my eyes to think that the ignorance of the people of the United States could elevate, that they would lead them to vote for someone who was responsible for the whole murder, not only of a population, entire country, and the death and destruction of democracy in the country of Haiti. And I guarantee you that whatever it is she did to Libya and Haiti will pale in comparison to what she does to the United States.
We think, I won't keep you much longer, I know you have things to do there as well. We think that she's the neocon Zionist chosen one, and you have to be terrified in a country where so much, if not all, of the voting takes place electronically. You have to fear that by hook or by crook, she's going to be confirmed president in about 20 hours from now, we reckon. What?
I hope not. I just absolutely
I know you
hope.
do. And I don't want to depress you, and I don't want to depress our audience. It's just my feeling. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to say I'm wrong, and then we can scrutinise Trump, and we can collectively press him to honour some of the things that he has pledged about regime change and stuff like that. If she does, Cynthia, what is it going to mean for what's happening in Syria now, what's happening in Yemen, and ultimately the worsening tension between the United States and Russia? What will her presidency mean for those issues?
Well, it just means war. It means war in the east and war in the west, war up north and war down south. Everywhere is war, as Haile Selassie said, and as Bob Marley sang.
And that's the be-all and the end-all of it. We're headed for war. What about the idea that those who pull the strings from behind the curtain where most people have never looked, that they might have identified or they might have earmarked her for a one-term only deal, that they're going to use her for 4 years to further the Greater Israel Project, to further cause chaos in the Middle East. And then at the end of that 4 years, they'll bring in maybe a Republican candidate, maybe somebody we don't know yet.
High turnout favors a challenger all the time. And so if you look at the motivation of the Trump voters, they are not going to be deterred. We're just trying to get them to, even though it's really, so if the Green Party has a chance of getting 5%, it would be marvelous if they could, and they would become a major party legally by U.S. definition. So that would be a significant step. But what's more important is defeating Hillary Clinton. That's the most important thing at all costs. And high turnout does that. And at the same time, she doesn't really inspire black people to go out and vote, which is the only saving grace of the Democratic Party, which is like the few spouse, because the blacks who vote religiously for the Democrats don't get anything in return. They do get beaten up and pummeled, but that's about it. So the fact that the turnout of blacks is lower, that's a good thing. Well, I will never say it's a good thing. I hope that some of them will be voting ABC, anybody but Clinton. And what I understand is, yes, there are quite a few black people who are leaving the Democratic Party with their vote and ABC. That's a good thing. So, so we've got high voter turnout that favors a challenger. And then we've got people whose eyes have been opened by WikiLeaks and are walking away from the Democratic Party. That's a good thing. Trump has imploded the Republican Party, and Dem exit as the Brexit. The Dem exit needs to implode the Democratic Party. And finally, maybe the people of the U.S. can pick up the pieces and construct a political system, a party that actually respects and includes them.
Cynthia Mckinney in conversation with me a little bit earlier on today from Bangladesh. Sorry about the deterioration of quality or inequality of that towards the end there. I significantly cleaned that up. Fascinating conversation. What happened in Libya and in Haiti, said Cynthia Mckinney to me, will pale by comparison to what is coming if this woman ascends to the Oval Office, which I'm absolutely certain she will do.